Welcome back to Game Told. My name is JR and I'm a consultant in the music business. Today's topic is all about the ingredients of what makes a classic album. Now, my opinion on what a classic album is, or which albums are classic, may differ from yours. But a few things we can agree on is that all classic albums have things in common, and that's exactly what I'm about to touch on today. Let's get into it. A good name. They all need a good name. Now, I've been in situations or part of campaigns where people have disagreed on a particular name title for an album and stuff, and say, oh, that's too long, or that's too short, or this and that. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, when you look at Tupac's All Eyes on Me, that's a very long title, but it still worked, and it's still a classic album. Nobody forgets the name. And when you look at Jay-Z, Blueprint, can't go wrong. Or this one I have here, it's just simply called Legend. Bob Marley's Legend. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Legend. That's it. So it's all in the name. As long as it's iconic and you're happy with it and it works and people won't forget it, go with it. A good name goes far. A common theme. Now, if you look at certain albums, they have one theme. Actually, let me give you this as an example. If you watch an action movie, the theme of the action movie is action. That's why it's in the category of action. From start to finish, you can guarantee fights, car chases, gunslinging, loads of things that make an action movie an action movie. Now that's the theme. So when you start an album, when you have an album, have one theme and stick to it. Now, the latest or most recent album that I've heard that did exactly that is Wizkid's Lagos album, Made in Lagos album. It's got one theme, he stuck to the theme, and he did loads of different songs, but the theme was always the same. So there's consistency from start to finish, and it's a great album, by the way. So yeah, so remember, one common theme. Another thing all classic albums have in common is the consistency in sound. Now you take for instance this album here, Aaliyah's first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. If you can see it, I'm just trying to get the glare off. But Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, check it out anyway. With this album, the whole theme of it was New Jack Swing / R&B. It was at the time when things were just changing. So it had a constant sound, and they stuck to that sound, and it never changed. So even though they had a few slow jams in there and stuff, but the main sound and feel of the album was consistent throughout, and it had that New Jack R&B type influence. So yeah. Production. Now you can either have a legendary producer, or you can have a new groundbreaking producer. Now take for instance NWA, straight out of Compton. Dr. Dre was fairly unknown, but he was good and he was new and groundbreaking. But fast forward a few years later, he produces Snoop's album, and that album is a classic. So by then, he's an established, certified producer. So, you know, it pays to go with either or. Just make sure the sound is right for you, you know, when you're doing it. And don't overthink these things. Music is all about the feel. So if you hear a producer that you like, even though they don't have a name for themselves, and you like them, and you think you guys can make good music together, just do it, you know? Don't hold back. But yeah, so either go with a new groundbreaking producer or an established one. Either way, you can't lose. At least 6 bangers that can qualify for radio plays, or you know, everybody identifies to. So when I say radio, I mean songs that can play on the radio that everybody will identify and like. All types of different people, even people who are not your fans. Now, one album that I can say definitely had that is Jay-Z's Blueprint. Now, wow, so many bangers in this. I mean, Never Change, Song Cry, Renegade, Heart of the City, The Ruler's Back, Izzo, Takeover, how can we forget that? You know, so at least six songs on a 12-track album, and you're well on your way to a classic. Another thing they all have in common is one inspirational song, a song that uplifts everybody. You look at songs like "Where Is the Love" from Black Eyed Peas, "Tupac Changes," it's so "Everyday Struggle" from Biggie's first album. You always need an inspirational song in there. You can't go wrong. So yeah, get yourself inspired and inspire others. Iconic artwork. Now, I can't stress how important this used to be, especially used to be, but still is now, but not like before. Now, when music used to sell in physical form, in CDs, vinyls, cassettes, whatever, it was all about attracting the customer's eyes to be more attractive than your next counterpart. And how you did that was always through getting the best artwork, whether it was a picture of you posing somewhere or whatever, or some crazy type of, I've seen some crazy artwork, and they worked. Some of them didn't, some of them did, but yeah, so iconic artwork you can't go wrong with. And one of the best artworks I ever saw coming up was this, Snoop Dogg's first album. Amazing, look at that. It depicted everything about a dog, you know? There's a dog kennel there, there's a dog inside the kennel, you know, so many different things. So yeah, Snoop Dogg's dog, amazing. So yeah, this is a really iconic album, artwork, cover, you can't go wrong, Snoop Dogg. Unforgettable skits or interludes. Now that's not really something people do these days, but I remember coming up, whenever I heard an interlude or a skit, I got excited. Why? Because it gave me a chance to have an insight into what this rapper that I like or musician that I like, what they were like in real life. And that's why they always took you away from the music and made it a bit personal. I guess these days we have things like YouTube and, you know, everybody does it behind the scenes and vlogs and stuff like that. But you go back in the days, if you liked an artist, you had to wait for them to do an interview, and then it came on TV. We had no other way of, you know, checking them out. It was always like, you take Michael Jackson for instance. He did an interview with Oprah, and we had to wait like 3 weeks. 3 weeks. They kept teasing for 3 weeks. Michael Jackson's interview with Oprah is gonna be amazing. It's this, that, and they hyped it for 3 weeks. Imagine waiting 3 weeks just to see your icon talk in his own home and his own habitat where he's comfortable, and talk outside of music and his life and family and stuff. These days, you just go on YouTube and, you know, it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't do the numbers today, it would definitely do the numbers, but the anticipation for it, people would be like, oh, I'll catch it on YouTube. But in those days, you had to wait, and when it came on TV, you had to be sitting there watching. And, you know, so it was a totally different thing. But yeah, I digress. Interludes, amazing thing. Allows the listener to connect with you in ways that you couldn't even imagine. I mean, make people laugh. These are things that make people remember your album all the time. The skits and the interludes, amazing. I'm a big fan of those. Song titles that connect with today's or the current words and slang of the people. Now, these sort of words let the listener know that you are current, you're on the same place as they are, and you think like them. You know, it brings a connection between the two, yourself and the listener. So yeah, so use the right words here and there, and people connect to them. And also, one day later on, when the album does become a classic, they can go back to these words, but oh shit, remember when we used to say this or say that? And or you just know the era based on the type of words they were using in whatever song that was. But yeah, that's one. Features, or lack of. Now, you look at, again, Tupac's All Eyes on Me album. He had so many features on there. It made a classic. But you're gonna look at Biggie's album, his first album. The only feature he had on there was what's his name? Well, actually two features. He had Diana King doing a hook, and then he had what's her name? What's his name? Method Man doing featuring on the What. So basically, if he had anybody featuring on there, it was just singers. He had no rappers or anything on there. It was just him. So a classic album can be made by yourself or with features. Me personally, I love to see the features. But if an artist can come out and do an album good enough for just them, then hey, you know, it shows your greatness. Yeah. We come to the end of the video. Like I said in the beginning, it's up to you to choose what you think is a classic or what you think makes a classic. But at the end of the day, all of them have these things I've mentioned already. So, when you're making yours, are you gonna make a classic? I mean, you can approach it like you're making a classic, but at the end of the day, it's the people who determine what a classic is. But one thing that's undeniable is that all classic albums have these things I've mentioned, one or two of them. If not all, one or two of them. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's do it. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, people. This has been Game Told. My name is JR, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.